What's new in Update 172, and more importantly, the difficulty's beta? There was a main patch today that everybody will receive, so we'll touch on that first. A new community weapon safe was added, the 6th one so far, so if you're looking for some new flair for your guns, there you go. I won't really touch on it beyond that, as it's all personal preference. Beyond that, for the main client anyways, were some visual fixes for various weapon textures and animations, namely making the Compact 5 look less plasticky and giving it that old HK slap for the reload. The meat of the changes came in the form of an open beta, activated by right-clicking Payday 2, going to Properties, Betas, and selecting Open_Beta from the drop-down menu. Here you'll find a massive difficulty, weapon, and skill rebalance. Let's start with the skills. First of all, Joker has been nerfed, so now the aced skill will only reduce their incoming damage by 35%, meaning they'll find themselves killing over more frequently. Not the end of the world, as the bonuses for having Jokers at all are still very much noticeable. Next up, a new skill was added at the top tier of Sharpshooter called Graze. The way this works is surprisingly simple. Upon dealing damage with a sniper rifle, enemies within 100 centimeters of the path the bullet takes will be dealt 20% of the sniper's damage as well. Simply put, you have a cylinder of bonus damage surrounding your bullet as it zooms by, provided it hits something at the end. In addition, the aced effect will make headshot kills with snipers bump that 20% damage up to a full 100% damage. This skill is shockingly useful, especially down corridors. All it amounts to is free damage and potential kills for enemies between you and your bullet's eventual resting place. This proves particularly useful for dealing with Captain Winters, as shooting one shield will damage the vast majority of them as well. I enjoy this skill overall, but I would like to see some sort of visual feedback added to let you know it's working. Nothing fancy, I was thinking maybe tracer rounds? I'd love to see some ideas in the comments. Ammo efficiency, formerly the top tier sharpshooter skill, has been moved down one tier to replace High Value Target. High Value Target has changed branches and even trees entirely, now finding itself in Ghost under Silent Killer. It's taken the former home of Specialized Killing, and Specialized Killing has been removed completely. What?
Tell me, how am I supposed to last without you? Now that I've suppressed for so long, how am I supposed to last without you? And how can I make weapons work when my silencer skills are nerfed?
Silencer skills are no more, at least the best one isn't. It's no longer possible to attain a 30% damage boost just for using a suppressed weapon. All jokes aside, this is a very good change. Getting free damage just for using quiet weaponry has always been dumb, and I'm glad to finally be free of my silencer shackles. I can finally hear what loud Payday weapons actually sound like. Thankfully, tweaking was done to accommodate this change. Nearly every assault rifle and SMG, I'm serious, almost all of them have had their damage buffed. Rifles and SMGs that were already above 100 damage, i.e. those in the DMR class, remain unchanged. On top of this, sniper rifles have been buffed across the board, with some exceptions. The Nagant, Platypus, R93, and Desert Fox have all been buffed from 300 damage to 480 damage each. The Rattlesnake and Repeater have been buffed to 246 damage each, up from 160. The Lebenseuger has had a small fire rate increase and nothing else. And for nerfs, the Contractor Sniper's accuracy was lowered by 12, and the Grom has changed sniper class entirely. The damage has been lowered to 160 down from 300, but the ammo and fire rate were considerably increased. It's basically just a better version of the Lebenseuger now, but still useless when compared to other snipers. And finally, the difficulty changes. These are split up into 4 categories, being General, Mayhem, Deathwish, and One Down. Starting with general changes, cops have become better at pathfinding, and their AI is no longer tied to the CPU of the host. This means enemies should react more consistently overall and far faster, even when the host is playing at low frame rates. Also means no more downclocking your CPU to make heists easier for the scumbags who did that. Less cops will fill up the map all at once, according to the changelog. Frankly, I didn't notice any difference. And bot teammates will no longer have health increases above the Mayhem difficulty, meaning they won't be quite as overpowered on top tier difficulties. Speaking of mayhem, two small changes make a big difference here. Elite cops, the ones in the less bulky armor, will now deal damage equivalent to that of cops on overkill, and the headshot multiplier on this difficulty in general has been increased by 33%, presumably to offset the removal of suppressed damage increases. Mayhem feels a nice bit easier now instead of the weird other death wish it was prior. It seems to be the perfect difficulty to play if you're max level and want something easy enough that you'll be likely to win, but hard enough to maintain interest. Death Wish, on the other hand, has had no changes to health, headshot damage, or damage output from cops. Instead, it was made more difficult by allowing one extra taser, cloaker, and bulldozer to be present in the map at any given time, and by adding minigun bulldozers. Originally exclusive to Crime Spree, these heavy hitters are now available on Death Wish and above, and goddamn, they're scary. They output so much damage and have so much health. My best advice is to avoid them at all costs or pick them off at a distance. The old get as close as possible and vomit bullets at their faceplate trick will only get you killed in this case. Finally, and most interestingly, One Down has had multiple changes. All of the same changes that were made to Death Wish also apply here, except 2 additional bulldozers can spawn instead of just 1. On top of this, all bulldozer health has been doubled and can be healed off by medic bulldozers. Another former Crime Spree exclusive, medic dozers care, but they also kill. They can heal their allies while rocking your world with an onslaught of bullets. You'll want to take these guys down as fast as you can. Special enemies will now spawn with an accoutrement of SWAT protecting them. Now, all of this may sound like adding more difficulty to a difficulty that was already too difficult. However, these next changes will put it all into perspective. Enemy health across the board on One Down has been reduced by 33%, and One Down is no longer One Down. You now get the same amount of downs before going gray as you do on every other difficulty. They'll change the name later, I'm sure. The whole point of these changes was to make One Down still absurdly difficult, but allow players more options for tackling it. The enemies are more numerous, varied, and intelligent, but have less health overall. Combined with the damage increase of many base game weapons with shotgun, pistol, etc. changes likely to arrive soon, I understand where they're coming from. They want to allow more weapon and build variety. You no longer need to have specialized killing jokers and 9 lives aced. Hell, you might not even need Swan Song considering its nerf a while back, although Inspire is still absolutely a must-have. Regardless, those points can be spent however you want to make a wide range of builds functional. Does that mean One Down is perfectly fair now? Well, probably not, but it's still too early to say. And besides, it really shouldn't be either. It's the hardest difficulty in the game. You're not expected to succeed on it every single time. Overall, this beta shows that Overkill knows the difficulty balance is out of whack and is taking Herculean measures to overhaul it. Did they succeed? Again, still too early to say. My impressions thus far are that Mayhem feels just right, Death Wish still needs some attention, particularly with the health values of medics and tasers, and One Down is weird. There are more changes to come, I'm sure, and they'll likely further contextualize this entire beta. And I will remind you, this is a beta, nothing is final, and feedback will be needed to shape the future of Payday 2's difficulty and weapon balance. And for God's sake, don't just meme about silencer skills being removed, give some concrete response on why you like or dislike certain changes. I've linked the forum to do so below. That'll be it from me. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate it if you considered subscribing. Anyways, thanks for watching, and take it easy.